Alrighty, everybody. So the other day I recorded a bit and I said a couple of words about Linux. And it dawned on me when I finished that maybe you guys don't know what Linux is. I know I really didn't when I first got into it. I was looking for an alternative to Microsoft that I could use for converting free computers for kids. What I came across was Linux. And Linux was developed by two different people. The first one being Richard Stallman, who wrote the compiler and all the technical stuff underneath, and then Linus Torvalds, who wrote the kernel. Either one, either one without the other is not an operating system, but the two of them together made an operating system. So Linus finished up with his kernel, which at the time people didn't believe that you could do something other than what was being done with Windows and Unix. And Richard Stallman finished up his GNU project, which was GNU is not Unix. GNU, GNU is not Unix. It's a double repeating cursive that he thought was cute. I gotta admit, it is kind of cute. So anyway, those are the two fathers of Linux, okay? Now, there have been others. It's like I mentioned that on my server, I'm running BSD, which is a Berkeley Science Division licensed operating system that was developed at Berkeley. You've got Apple. Apple, by the way, is basically a takeoff on Unix. They just made theirs proprietary and didn't offer it up to anybody and used a proprietary licensing. So anyway, the thing with Linux is that the source code has to be made available to anyone that wants it, which is a wonderful thing. That means anyone can take your project and build upon it and build their own, which is why there's like dozens of distributions out there. And they're all good. Okay. It's not like you have to set off on this quest for finding the best, because there's really no best. There's only whatever you're comfortable with. That's why at the moment I'm using Pop! OS, Fedora, Linux Mint. They're all basic programs and their desktop is familiar and it gives me a good workflow. A lot of people get really tied into trying to figure out what is the best distribution out there, and really they're all good. You just have to figure out which one is comfortable for you, and that's not so difficult to do. You can download what's called the ISO for free. If you're running Windows at this time, you can get a program called Balena Etcher, which is a little tiny program. And with that, you can take your ISO and it will write it into a bootable USB. And from there, you put this in, start your computer, go into BIOS, and pick the USB as your boot device. It all sounds like black magic. It's not that difficult once you figure it out. It's about like putting in it's about like reloading clean Microsoft Windows, which most people don't know how to do, because let's face it, you bought your computer with Windows on it. Never something you had to think about. It was just there. Now here's the part you didn't think about. It probably added $50 to the cost of that computer to have Microsoft on it when you bought it. Unfortunately, it's really difficult to try and get that money back, but it's there. It's just not on the itemized receipt. So a lot of people will buy computers and then call the manufacturer and want a refund on the operating system, and will have never turned it on, never booted it up, so it never shows it's running Microsoft, and they will go ahead and reprogram it with Linux of their own choice. Now, there are companies that make computers with Linux. You've got System 76, you've got Tuxedo Linux, which makes their own computers. There's a couple others out there, but they make really, really nice machines where basically you're looking at a laptop starting at like $1,100 and going up. You're looking at a desktop starting at like $900 without peripherals and going up. So, a lot of people like myself I don't run Apples because I can't afford them. So what I do is I'll take a computer. I can build a computer for $700-800, which is just a real beast. The one that I'm talking on right now that you're seeing all this built on, I put probably $600-700 into it. Building it through a custom maker like iPower and a couple others. The best price I could find was about $2,600. So you can see that, building your own or buying an old, like this computer right down here that you can't hardly see because there's no light on it. I think I paid $135 for that. That's an old Dell. It has an i7 Intel processor in it, 4-core, 8-thread, running about, if I remember right, 3.4 with a boost up to about 4. It's not as powerful as this computer, but that's a pretty powerful computer for $125. From there, I put in, I made some upgrades to it, a little more RAM, did a better cooler in it, a better case. Obviously, that's not the Dell Office case. Upped its memory a little bit and put a video card in it. I don't think I have more than about $350 in the whole computer. That one is running Fedora right now, and I'm using it as my gaming computer. So value per dollar is high. The ability to turn an older computer into just a whip thin fighting machine, really easy to do. The other thing is that when you look at putting Microsoft Windows on a computer, you're eating up usually about 20 gigs on your hard drive. A big distribution of Linux. Oh, I've been trying to choke that back and it just didn't work. I'm so sorry. Is about 4.5 gigs on the hard drive. So, I've got a half gig or a half terabyte of storage in each machine, and people will go, "That's not enough." Well, it's enough because I'm only eating up about 4 gigs with the operating system, not 25 gigs, and that includes all of my side programs also, like an Office suite. It just goes on and on. I've got a photo manager. These are all things that just come with it, usually bundled into the distribution itself. And then from there, you can add the specialty things you want. Like if you want the GIMP, if you're an Adobe user, you would like GIMP. It's not quite the same, but you can learn it. On this one, I've got, the video editor. I've got OBS Studio. I've got Audacity for doing audio. There's a lot of things I've added onto this, and I don't think I still have 5 gigs eaten up in my hard drive. So half a terabyte is huge. That means I've only got 465 gigabytes of free and open memory at any given moment. So, and then I've got my server down here that is where I store everything, like all my photos. I've got a couple of terabytes, not a couple of terabytes. I've got about 3/4 of a terabyte of photos in there that I've just collected up over the years. If I was doing this conventionally and say trying to use Microsoft Server and Microsoft Windows, I probably have, even if I went to the discount places to get a CD key, I'm still looking at right now. I've got, I don't know, a couple $100 worth of Microsoft, if I was using it, operating systems. And I've got to save that money and invest that into hardware. So that is our opening salvo into Linux. It's not difficult. It's not hard. It's easy. And if you've got an older machine that you want to revive, or you just want to use something that's a little more secure because, oh, there's something I haven't mentioned. The fact that Microsoft is not very secure because everybody in the world is trying to hack in and steal people's stuff. Linux, on the other hand, there's not that many users out there yet. There are very few pieces of malware or viruses that are made specifically to attack the Linux machines. Now, does that mean that I can't ever get a piece of malware? No, that doesn't. But how I get rid of it is, unlike a Microsoft user, the best it can do is to embed itself into temporary memory. And Mom's done this a couple of times. Called me frantic, going, I got the screen's flashing, going, your Windows is corrupt. And I tell her, turn the machine off, turn it back on. And when she turns it back on, it's all gone. Because guess what? When you turn the machine, when you do a dead stop on the machine and a cold start, everything that was in temporary memory is dumped. And that's gone. Now it's no longer there. It went away. So they're very secure machines. They're really tough to hack into. As a matter of fact, generally, I had a machine get hacked a year and a half ago. And it kind of freaked me out. And I thought, how did they get in here? Well, guess what? It was my Microsoft email account that I'd had for years. And how I realized it was I went in to change my password, and I realized that I had not entered any of my credentials to get to my security place, and they allowed me to change my password. It also allowed me to change my phone number as my second verification, because they had changed that also. I realized that there was no security on Microsoft email servers. So I got rid of that, and guess what? I got rid of the problem. Anyway, it's a fun way to go. It's a fun way to compute. I do everything that you do with a Windows machine, and maybe a whole lot more. Even my daughter, who said I would never go to Linux. You can't use it on WoW. Well, guess what? World of Warcraft just built a Linux client. So what's happened is that the most popular gaming machine out on the market right now is the Steam machine, little handheld goodie, and it runs Linux. It doesn't run Microsoft. So, Steam has gone fully into the open source project, and they are selling these things wide open, and they're not that expensive. They're about $350. And going to Steam or Valve for all of your games, of course, it profits them. They sell games, but they also have that huge library of games for you to pick from. So everybody's happy. Glorious Egg Roll, I don't even know the man's real name, makes a version of Proton that is about 100% on converting Microsoft games to Linux. It's just getting to be the wave of the future for gaming. So as gaming goes, computing goes. So you might think about, trying something on an old machine just to have fun and learn a bit about it. Again, if you want any information, feel free to give me a call. I love you guys. I'll be doing another one of these where we talk about the different distributions and the different desktops next. You guys have a great evening, great week. Love you all. Bye.